به نام خدا سلام عرض
In the name
می‌کنم
of God.
بینندگان
Hello, dear
عزیز خانم
viewers, ladies and
خانم
gentlemen. Welcome. I hope you're all doing well. Sending my warmest regards to each and every one of you, wherever you are in the world. I
بینندگان
present this
ارجمند
to all Persian language
خدمت
enthusiasts with respect.
زبان فارسی
I hope you're feeling great.
صحبت
Now,
بکنیم.
let's get back to our interpretation of the Masnavi.
بریم سراغ
We've reached the
ادامه
third
خوندن
verse of the first
مصنوی
book,
رسیدیم
and
به
in this session, we're going to
قول
dive into this verse where Rumi says, I want to open up my heart and explain the pain of separation, to share the story of longing. As usual, let's start with the text and its meaning. Have you ever thought about going over what I shared on the Telegram channel once more and then diving into explaining the ideas that come from this verse? Rumi, in this verse, takes the language of the heart to its rawest, most bare form, where words just can't capture what's felt and only pain can truly express that longing. I want to explain the pain of separation, meaning the heart has to be torn apart to even have the capacity to speak about it. Because a healthy, calm heart can't really understand the pain of desire. Separation isn't just some random suffering, it's a path to opening the chest, a fire that settles deep in the soul to lift the veils away. Truth reveals itself naked. Rumi doesn't curse pain, he sees it as a necessary part of expression. He asks for a heart that's been wounded, because only a wounded heart can free its tongue. Desire is like a fire. If it doesn't catch in the heart, it stays cold. But once it burns and breaks the heart open, it starts to speak. So explaining pain is pain itself, and you can't talk about longing without burning from it. In this view, separation isn't the enemy of love, it's its teacher. Being apart expands the heart and pulls a person out of silence, especially the silence of habit. Rumi says to speak of love, one has to go through the crossing themselves. You've got to put your heart through the pain of being apart to truly understand the secret of closeness. That's when suffering gains meaning and desire finds its voice, a voice written not with the ink of reason, but with the blood of the heart. I hope this heartfelt insight resonated with you. Anyway, this is just my humble take and limited understanding of this verse, which I wrote down. If you want, you can follow more writings like this on Pooty's Telegram channel. But now, let's get into what this verse really points to and what we can take away from it. See, friends, the word separation, faragh, stands out quite a bit in this verse. It's like the real truth only comes from a wounded heart, not from a calm, satisfied one. Rumi's basically saying that someone who's never felt separation can't truly understand what it means. They definitely can't get the pain of longing. They can't even describe that pain, let alone have actually felt it. You know what it's like? I think it's like someone who's never missed a loved one and doesn't really get what missing someone means. If they want to understand what missing someone feels like, they just look it up in a dictionary. That's a whole different world. Someone trying to understand longing just by reading about it in a dictionary. You need to talk to someone who's genuinely missed you and knows what it feels like to miss someone. In another part, it goes into a detailed description of the heart. It's basically about a heart that's lived through a lot. Detailed description means a heart that's been broken and burned over and over, but somehow stands strong again. That kind of heart is definitely the one that can truly understand and empathize. This is the perspective of a wise leader. If we want to put it simply, it's like having a real counselor. See, sometimes when I want someone to truly listen to my pain, I want to pick a counselor who's been through the same struggles I have. Let me put it this way. Sometimes even the advisor has gone through that pain themselves, and sometimes they've just read about it in books. The truth is, a real advisor is not someone who only knows about pain from books. For example, in psychology, a lot of people give advice to others without any real experience themselves. You can't really say how a father should treat his child unless you've been a father yourself. Same with being a mother. You can't truly understand what motherhood means just by reading about it in any book. What it means to be a mother, what it means to be a child, that's something you have to experience yourself. Well, maybe I've gone through it now. Let's say I've read a psychology book or studied psychology and become a child psychologist, but I haven't gotten married, or if I have, I don't have kids. I might come and give some behavioral advice, but that advice is just stuff I read in books. That's a whole different world compared to someone who's actually a mother. Someone who knows the struggles of motherhood, the pain of being apart from your child, the love that comes with it. Now, a mother who's also educated and has read those books and becomes a counselor, that's a completely different experience. It's a totally different world. This is what Rumi is hinting at when he talks about longing. No pain, no passion. Actually, it means real passion only makes sense when it comes with pain. If someone hasn't felt that pain, the passion means nothing to them. Without the pain, it's just a bar, just a shallow interest. You could say what Rumi is pointing out is like loving from afar. Like when you find someone online and start liking them from a distance. That's one thing. But when you see them every day, it's a totally different vibe. Someone finds a virtual friend on the other side of the world, that's one kind of connection. Sometimes that friend is right in front of you. You can feel them, touch them, smell them. Their presence radiates onto you. But are all these things equal? That's what Rumi is saying. He says desire without pain isn't really desire. It's like a friend who's far away. Then he hints at something mysterious. He wants to say that the language of pain, which we call desire born from heartache, goes way beyond the language of reason. It's like Rumi is saying ordinary human reason, the kind we use to understand things just logically, can't really explain that kind of longing. If someone wants to really understand that passion and excitement, their heart has to be broken, torn apart. If they can't, then fine. What's the story? They're just learning something by rote, just repeating stuff. The truth is, some things you have to experience, not just talk about. A lot of times, we haven't actually lived the truth ourselves, we just heard about it. Like hearing about meeting your beloved, but you've never had one. It's like hearing about Hajj, about the Tawaf, about walking between Safa and Marwa during the pilgrimage, but you've never actually been to Saudi Arabia. It's totally different from someone who's been there a few times or at least once. Rumi wants to say that this kind of grief and loss I'm talking about isn't something you can understand just by reading books or going through lessons. You have to go through it yourself. You have to dive into it on your own and find your own way to handle it. According to Rumi, that separation, when experienced with that kind of feeling, that kind of understanding, and that kind of intensity, becomes a tool for awareness, not just suffering. If all we see in separation is pain, we're missing the point. But if that separation becomes a tool for awareness, that's the essence of it. Separation isn't just about breaking. Rumi wants to say separation is about understanding. People tend to appreciate someone or something more deeply when they're gone. When they're away, we realize what we've lost. A lot of times, we have things in our lives but don't appreciate them. We spend all day with our kids, living together, but once they get accepted into a university, move somewhere else, or migrate to another city, only then do we start thinking, wow, who did I just lose? We've been together every day, every night at home, but we didn't value those moments. Now that we're apart, we understand how it feels. Most of us only truly appreciate our health after we get sick. That's when we really realize it. Pay attention. We become aware that our awareness comes from that pain. Now that we're sick, we understand how good we felt when we weren't sick. So from Rumi's perspective, separation is what brings awareness. It's not just about his words. Dear friends, the core of his message, what Rumi is deeply concerned about, is that wound. The wound taken from that heart full of pain. That wound, the one caused by separation, has torn the heart apart. But what has it brought in return? Love, a deep longing. That's why Rumi never wished to be a skilled orator. He wanted to have a broken, shattered heart, so that the impact of his words would come from such a heart, telling the truth honestly. Just see, a simple sentence, a really simple sentence, when it comes from a wounded heart, often hits harder than a flashy speech of an ordinary person. A person with no education sits down and from their broken heart whispers about a loss, a pain, a poverty, and it sets your soul on fire. It's that simple person who it's okay to be uneducated. Sometimes the fire that someone like that lights within you can't be sparked by 10 eloquent speakers or scholars. That's why Rumi looks for words that truly hit home, not just clever phrasing. This is really important. Actually, this Rumi couplet, dear friends, isn't about justifying suffering, but about giving suffering meaning. Rumi isn't saying suffering is good, don't get that wrong. What he means is, if suffering comes, it can create meaning. That's much deeper. It's not that suffering is good, but since it's here, the real deal is the awareness you gain from it. Pain can create meaning. Meaningless suffering just wears you down, but meaningful suffering wakes you up. And that's the whole point of Rumi's teaching. Whoever turns their pain into understanding, knowledge, is no longer a victim. They don't stay stuck there. They rise. They grow. Let me share a subtle point and wrap this up. In this poem by Rumi, the audience is your own pain, not just a bystander. When he says, "so I can speak," it means speaking to someone who truly listens with their soul. Anyone who hears these words and feels them deep down can't help but feel that eagerness. They can't just enjoy it casually. It doesn't just pass them over. It reaches right inside. A lot of us have probably read a couplet and thought, wow, this is deep. But do we all really understand the meaning of a poem the same way, with the same depth? According to Molavi, deep pain or meaning isn't something you can grasp in a casual gathering, where people from all backgrounds with different levels of knowledge and information come together. To truly get it, you need to be someone sensitive and insightful, not just surface-level people, not ordinary folks who've never sat down to really dive into a few deep books. And when that happens, when someone who truly listens and understands the depth of the words encounters that weight and meaning, then it really hits differently. This door, as Rumi puts it, is like the beginning of a spiritual journey. In Rumi's mysticism, separation is actually the start. It's not the end. Separation doesn't mean I'm apart and it's over. No, he says it's just the beginning. That longing in Rumi's spiritual view is what sets a person in motion. If you don't feel the destination, you'll never head toward it. You have to feel that separation, that absence, that lack of the goal to find the motivation to move forward. So, to put it simply, what Rumi is saying with this verse is that the true longing, ladies and gentlemen, can't really be explained by a wounded heart. Since not everyone is close or understands, there's only one place where you can say someone truly gets it. Someone who's been through pain themselves. Someone who understands suffering and separation. If separation is understood based on that pain, then it becomes the language of the heart. Now, opening up the language of the heart, from here on, it's that heart that wants to tell the story, the commotion, the cry, the inner desire. And this is the beginning of a new birth. Hopefully what I've shared with you has been helpful. I'd be glad if you join in by writing comments, sharing your thoughts, and any points that might add to this discussion. Let's learn from each other, move forward together, and try to find moments of peace for our hearts. Our souls find comfort in journeying together and sharing Rumi's vision for the future. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, for following this channel. Please share the channel link with anyone interested, and I invite you to join us for the next part of this series. Yours sincerely, Amir Mehrdad